All right, we have 7 weeks in the books here at In Sports for our Winter 18 season of Legacy Leagues. I'm your host, Tyler. I'm here with Stuckey and Kendall and Joe and Greg. I apologize for my appearance. I just played. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to start over on Court 2 tonight where we had the Blue Devils and the Monstars. Really great game and sort of a storyline that seems to come up year after year after year, season after season, Mike Davis. And I will let someone a little bit more eloquent than myself talk about it, but Mike Davis sent that game to OT in a pretty stunning fashion. I guess we could say that.
Well, the play, this is the play, right? So you got the play. Mike Davis comes down with the ball. He gets in a difficult situation at the corner of the three-point, one pump fake, right? Gets the defender off his foot, fadeaway jumper for 3, game winner. Send it to overtime. Then in overtime, I'm looking at the Monstars bench, I'm looking at the Blue Devils bench, and the Monstars are kind of like a little flustered, you know what I mean? They got the big eyes, the bug eyes, but Mike Davis is just so calm, poised, and he just does what he needs to do in any game situation. You can count on this guy to make shots and make big plays. So shout out Michael on that game, since it's overtime.
Yeah, I just want to say, week 1 of the podcast, I picked Mike Davis as my MVP, and I thought Deontay Washington made a run for that, but he dropped 44, I believe, tonight. And without Mike Davis and the Blue Devils, I think they're a run-of-the-mill team. Mike Davis is, I think, running away with the MVP at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is a horse that has been beaten dead for seasons now. But again, 44 points, OT forced shot, and then, of course, to seal in overtime, of course, huge win against the back-to-back defending champions in the Monstars. I guess sticking with the theme of overtime, we'll just get this one out of the way. Stranger Danger versus Goon Squad. Stranger Danger bounces back a little bit after a 100-point blowout last week. Fall in overtime today to Goon Squad, 80-77. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'd rather hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah, I think Stranger Danger played tough. It was a close game the whole game. No one really ran away with it. The biggest lead I think was towards the end of the game in overtime when they were up 4 points. Unfortunately, Goon Squad was able to pull it out. Our commish, Joey Zocco, was hitting shots all over the court. Feldman, you were grabbing some boards as well, so it was a good game overall.
Yeah, I think DJ Ellis made his debut today for Goon Squad, and no Marconi, but DJ Ellis, an equally as physical and big body for Goon Squad, definitely made his presence known today. I can speak to that myself, having to try to guard him a little bit. Anyone else?
I think Stranger Danger played a hell of a game. All credit to them. I think they played a hell of a game. I think you don't want to see them come playoff time. They'll shoot lights out. Matt and Joey, again, say what you want about them. I know Ronte is going to comment or something, but they're hitting threes, and when they're hitting threes and Tyler's rebounding, Connor driving, I'm not saying they're one of the best teams in the league, but come playoff time, you don't want to take them lightly.
Just to piggyback off that a little bit, the thing is about that win, this loss tonight, it shows them where they are in the standings, and when they can keep up with a team like that, especially with big guys like Ellis on the court, man, they could shock any team in the first round, second round, and go move to the second round. So,
first round upset not unheard of from
Right.
Stranger Danger.
Right.
Just saying.
They've done it before.
Just saying. Moving right along, another really exciting game, not our game of the week, but another top-notch matchup. We had Team Moose and No Limit here on Court 1. Sort of an interesting matchup because Team Moose is sort of pegged as like the defensive stoppers, where No Limit is like this super deep team with a lot of athletes that just light it up. And sort of a low scoring night from No Limit. They, of course, get away with the victory, 66-51. But I think Moose did a lot right, and there's teams that can sort of look to what Moose did to sort of get a game plan going forward to try to maybe slow down No Limit.
So the Team Moose game that we just saw against No Limit was the same kind of game we saw them play against the Blue Devils. They held it really close. They had the lead going into the halftime. But as the game progresses and as they come into the fourth quarter, they run out of energy. They run out of manpower. Brad had 5 fouls, fouled out. They just need that extra player that's more energetic and can get them to finish out a game.
Just to piggyback off that a little bit, I'm sorry, when they were running the floor, right, in that game, we were talking kind of like before, and we talked about how No Limit can score 100 points on any given night. But we were talking about it. I said, but Team Moose has the capability to hold them under 70 points. I said they won't score 70 points tonight because this Team Moose team can slow down. And then we were talking, Terrell.
Eric said we're not going to score 70.
Yeah, Eric said we won't score 70, but we won't let them score 50. So we seen that play out today too. So that was a good storyline there.
Pretty spot on, 66-51.
Yeah.
Sort of called that one pretty fairly. A little bit of a fun one last night, rim breaker, shooter, shoot. It got ugly towards the end, but I gotta say, the shooter, shoot team's got a lot of heart. Luke Riccio came out last night firing. I think he hit like 11 threes. He took 40 of them, something absurd like that. Yeah. 4 guys for them, short bench, rim breakers, cruising a little bit. I think the second half was a lot more of a blowout. The first half, Luke was just hitting everything. It was sort of absurd, but 117-79, running out of time here for shooter, shoot. 2 weeks left.
But I think we're running out of time for rim breakers to prove themselves also. They didn't do anything yesterday to tell me, like, hey, they're the top of this league. When you let the shooter shoot, when you let somebody hit 11 three-pointers on you, and they only have 4 guys on their whole team, and you're supposed to be a dominant team proving yourself, they're running out of time to prove to us that they can beat a team like the Chasers, No Limit, Team Moose, Flint. Those are our top teams in this league, and they're not one of them right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love Flight Club. Sorry, Shooter Shoot, their old team. But, I mean, it's just, they got to play their players, their best players, when they're available. I mean, like you've seen, they have a lot of fight in them, definitely. But you just kind of want to see it more. And it's the same with rim breakers. I don't understand how Kevion Turnbull can go 14 of 15 and take only 15 shots. I just don't understand that. If you're missing one of your shots, take 30. I want him to be more aggressive. I really don't get it.
Sort of staying with the theme of teams sort of struggling to find that first win, we'll go over to semi-pro and BS&B, and sort of a weird game over there too. Finishes, BS&B goes up 73-48, but I don't know if any of you guys caught, or how many of you caught that game, but the fourth quarter was just absurd for BS&B. It was like a close game the whole time, and then in the fourth quarter they just exploded. I don't know how much they scored in that quarter, but I know that I looked up at one point, and then it was all of a sudden a 20-point game. I think Robo Purrier of BS&B was unconscious. Crazy step back 3 that he hit at one point. Check the snap, it's awesome. But sort of, I don't know what's going on with semi-pro. I feel bad for him, but I thought that was a game that they sort of had a chance to sort of squeak one out, but it sort of fell apart, came off the rails at the end.
Yeah, I think semi-pro, they just don't have enough talents and enough people to kind of close out games in the fourth quarter. You see they're tight with some games, maybe in the second quarter, in the beginning of the game, then they just can't finish it when it comes to clutch time.
They were outscored 32-8 in that fourth quarter, by the way. And Robo came down and hit, I believe it was 4 threes in a row. The step back 3 on Jesse, man, that was incredible. I mean, he was just, for them to be down guys, you don't hear this guy's name often in any other week. So for him to step up that big, you know what I mean, and close out that game in the fourth quarter, 32-8. That's what they were outscored in that fourth quarter. And so it was an incredible game. And in a game that they weren't kind of like the favorites, right? We thought semi-pro had a little bit more body, so they were going to tire them out, but they didn't. So great job for BSB.
Yeah, speaking of blowouts, sort of a surprising blowout, I think I would say. Throne and Temptations. Temptations go ahead 83-53. I think that this Throne team is the most confusing team to scout, just because they seem to have a ton of talent, but then they'll go play one good team and they'll look good, and they'll play another good team and they flounder. I know last night they didn't have the Baptiste brothers, so they had a short bench. I don't know how to really feel about this team. I don't know if they're a top 5 team or if they're a bottom 5. I just don't really know what their identity is. It's sort of an inconsistent showing so far.
I think that, not to interrupt you, Stucky, but I think they have a top 15 player in Jason Hernandez, and then they got the Baptiste brothers need to show up. I mean, Stenson's first in the league in 3-point percentage right now. He's first in the league. They need him there, and they need the other brother there. And Jason's the type of guard, he's not like Mike Davis, not like Reggie, where he really looks to kind of find his teammates and get them open. And when that's not happening, he looks to force his shot, and that's not who he is. I mean, he's a great shooter. We've seen his stroke. It's one of the best in the league. But, I mean, I just think they kind of need to figure it out a little bit, and it's getting to the point where it might be too late for them to figure it out.
I think, speaking of identity, since you brought up identity, the whole identity of that team was Joe Bacciello. And right now, to say they're finding their identity is good, and Jason Hernandez seems to be like their identity, but he's got to do what Bacciello did. He's got to take over games. He's got to know that this is a league where it's a small ball league, and he has to start being more aggressive and taking the ball to the rim, because he's got to give them exactly what they missed in Joe Bacciello. And
I know the Throne isn't thrilled that we keep talking about it, but the fact of the matter is through the first 3 weeks, this was a team that we were pegging as a championship contender. And since Joe's left, we really don't know if this is a team that can really even win a first-round game. So as much as they might want us to not talk about it, it is a huge storyline for this team, and it's really defined their whole season. But I think that we didn't give the Temptations enough credit. 30-point blowout win against still a good team.
Right.
Carmine's back playing well. Melquan's gelling. Nick Santorelli and Carmine have crazy chemistry on the court. Troy Brunson's getting down low, physical. That's a team that's scary come playoff time for sure.
Yeah, Melquan is an all-star this season.
And last season.
Yeah, and he's maybe could be in the run for MVP because last summer he played a great physical brand of basketball, but this year, oh my God, this kid's got a fire under him that I've never seen. Oh my God! Every time he comes out on the floor, and it doesn't matter who he guards, and he'll come out on the floor and say, "I'm going to guard the best player," and he does a fantastic job of guarding their best player and going down and putting up at least 15 points. So I don't know, that team is poised to do something.
Yeah, I think in a league that's sort of dominated by highlights and dunks, a player who's so selfless and prides himself on taking charges and blocks and doing the dirty work on defense, sort of refreshing to see and a huge piece for that team. To wrap it up, we'll go to our game of the week. We have the Flint Tropics and the Chasers. 57-53, the Chasers squeaked this one out. Flint had a lead going into the fourth, sort of slipped away there towards the end. What do we think was the final consensus on that game?
I think it was TJ Gianni in those two technicals. He got back-to-back technicals. Deontay Washington hit 12 free throws in a row. 12 in a row. And they kept hacking him, and he said, all right, you're going to hack me, I'm going to hit these shots. And TJ got 2 techs, which one of them was definitely deserved. The other one, who knows? But again, if you couldn't swear at the ref, that's how it goes. And I think that cost their team the game. I love Flynn, but, I just want to see them more focused and engaged because TJ Gianni's their best shooter without a doubt. And again, when you're playing Deontay Washington and Jerry Washington, who wasn't there, might I remind you, you can't give Deontay Washington a chance to hit. He took 21 free throws, I think, that game. He's going to hit 17 of those, and I don't think that strategy might have worked versus Joe Bacciello, but a player like Deontay, it didn't really work against. So I'm interested to see what Flint does when they play No Limit coming up.
See, my thing about Flint is last week I gave them credit, and I was waiting to see them play a team like the Chasers or No Limit who can stretch the floor and who has defenders that can defend Bizzuto, right? We seen late in that game, Deontay got right up in Bizzuto's chest, and then Bizzuto couldn't find any of his other teammates because that team goes as Bizzuto goes. And if Bizzuto's not going well, that team doesn't go well. So those guys need to find a rhythm, find a way to gel, find a way to score the ball before the playoff starts. Because if they get a team who has Jerry and Deontay and they're playing at the same time, that game's not that close.
Any last words? Any last thoughts? No?
Mike Davis MVP.
Okay. All right, we have 2 weeks left until playoffs. Teams starting to take their last tune-ups before we get ready for the playoff run. I know Stranger Danger is poised and ready to go. For Gregory and Joe and Kendall and Stuckey, I'm Tyler. This was your Week 7 post-game show for the Legacy Leagues. Make sure to follow us on social media at legacy_leagues and on our website, thelegacyleagues.com. Thank you. Have a good night.